Hello everyone and thank you for joining me today. My name is Dominic Pender and I'm a Senior Public Health Officer at Birmingham City Council. I'm really pleased to introduce you today to the Bauhaus Bites project, which is an exciting EU-funded project that Birmingham is proud to be a part of. And over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through what the project is about, the wider EU project, and what we're doing here in Birmingham as one of the programme's Trailblazer Cities. I should just also note here, this video is an overview of the Bauhaus Bites project. So if you would like to explore specific actions in more detail, we also have separate videos available for action 1.1, 2.1 and 3.1, and we'll continue to produce videos for the other actions over the coming months. So to start with, what is Bauhaus Bites? The Bauhaus Bites is a 3-year programme that started in November 2024 and concludes in October 2027. And as I mentioned, it's an EU-funded programme. It's funded through the EU Horizon 2030 project. And the mission of Bauhaus Bites is to reimagine food environments so that they're healthier, greener, and more connected to nature while celebrating cultural diversity. And we know that food is something that brings people together. It shapes our health, our cultures, our communities, and much more. So this Bauhaus Bites project allows us to work with organisations to celebrate the great work already happening, whilst also working together to find solutions to some of the challenges we face. And to achieve its mission, Bauhaus Bites aim to do this through some core principles that are not only important to the success of the project, but also guide how we do this. And to start with these principles, I'm just going to start here. So the new European Bauhaus principles, or the NEB principles. And as you can see, there's 3 principles. So the first one is sustainability. So ensuring that the projects we do have long-term sustainable outcomes that benefit climate resilience, environmental health, and community well-being. Inclusion is ensuring that everyone can be a part in shaping their local food environments. And beauty, making our food environment places of pride, identity, and connection. And underneath this is nature-based solutions. So this really encourages to think on how we can use nature as a solution to solving some of the challenges we face. And I'm just going to move to the second box here, co-creation and participation. This is integral to the project because Bauhaus Bites aims to empower local organisations as co-creators and change makers to their local places. So to achieve this, we need to be working in co-creation with our communities to achieve this. And then this final box are the 3 P strategies. So people, places, and policies. So what we mean by this is to achieve this for people, it's considering how we can empower individuals and communities with skills and knowledge. For places, it's how do we transform local food spaces into active food environments. And policy, how can we align our local actions with wider strategy and long-term sustainability. So that was a quick background on what Bauhaus Bites is and its core principles. So now quickly to talk about the wider EU project, because Bauhaus Bites isn't just happening here in Birmingham. It's actually a network of 15 partners, as you can see at the graph on the right, working together across Europe to support the project in various ways. And at the heart, there are 7 cities where ideas and projects are tested and refined. And these 7 cities are split into 2 groups. So we have Trailblazers, which is Birmingham from the UK, so ourselves, Fundão in Portugal, and Zagreb in Croatia. And as Trailblazers, we're leading the way by piloting innovative approaches to support our local communities. And then we have our twin cities. So that's Ostend in Belgium, Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Palermo in Italy, and Murska Sobota in Slovenia. And these are learning alongside us and adapting and replicating some of our approaches, but also creating their own innovative approaches related to their own context. And this structure creates a space for learning and supported sharing. It helps us to understand what works in different geographies, cultures, and levels of readiness around food systems. And we do this through workshops, peer exchanges, and co-creation sessions. We really share our learning and insights with each other. And this collaborative model ensures that our innovations are not only relevant locally, but they can also be scalable and adaptable across Europe. And at the heart of the Bauhaus Bites project is what we call the Bauhaus Bites playbook. So where all of our learning from each city come together into this playbook. So this won't be a academic report or a technical report, but rather a more practical hands-on guide. So this will be a practical tool of how each city achieved their project. So it will look at the tested tools, frameworks, and methods. And this is very much designed to help other cities to improve their food environment and explore the project that the cities involved in Bauhaus Bites did. And it's shaped by real experiences. So it includes what worked well, what didn't, and what we learned along the way. And this highlights the dedication that Birmingham has to exchanging knowledge and best practice internationally. It continues to build on our involvement of previous projects, such as our EU Food Trail project and our role within the Milan Urban Food Forum Pact. And so now to focus on what does this mean for Birmingham. So here in Birmingham, our place-based work focuses on East Birmingham. And this is because this is an area of rich cultural diversity, strong community networks, and a wide range of food-related assets and work already happening. And we can see this from community kitchens, allotment, to schools, to faith settings, green spaces. But it's also an area where communities told us they would welcome more support to strengthen these environments, to support improving access, to celebrating diversity and connecting people with local spaces and opportunities. So as you can see on the screen, this is the map that we are working within East Birmingham, and here are the wards in focus. So what this means for Birmingham, and as you can see on the screen, we're doing quite a few things in project, but this is split between 4 objectives and in total 7 actions. I am going to give a quick overview of the actions and project. But however, should you be interested in learning more details about the project, we do have separate videos that focus in more detail. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, at time of recording this one, we have a video for 1.1, 2.1 and 3.1. And we'll keep you updated along the project when the videos informing of the other projects later down the line are shared. So to quickly go through what the actions we aim to achieve for this project is. So our first objective when we spoke to partners was very much about how do we unite a diverse community through social spaces. And one of the ways we sought to do this was through action 1.1, which is to develop an understanding of what existing community food assets there are in East Birmingham through mapping. Because and the reason why we know East Birmingham has a range of food related spaces, from allotments, community kitchens, cultural food outlets and schools. And with this action, we want to create a detailed map of these assets, helping us to understand what already exists, but where are the gaps and how we can better use and connect with the spaces that are underutilized. So with this mapping, it goes beyond just mapping what spaces there are. It goes to look at, what does the space actually have and what potential to do. So for example, let's say an allotment, we rather than just acknowledging it as an allotment, we want to see what we know, for example, how many growing sites does it have? Does it perhaps even have a community hub or a kitchen or a space for events? So acknowledging it's not just a growing space, but could also be a space where we can really connect people and unite people. So then moving on to 1.2, the East Birmingham Community Food Spaces Improvement Fund. So we're also wanting to launch a community-led fund to strengthen local food spaces. And this is a participatory process where organisations can propose their ideas that reflect the priorities of the Bauhaus Bites project. And they can come to us with funding ideas so that, this funding project is made with communities, not for them, because we know that they work on the ground and understand the great work that they do, but also the challenges. So we want them to come to us with their suggestions and their ideas of how we can support that for the Bauhaus Bites principles. And this ensures that improvements are meaningful, sustainable, and rooted in local needs. So another key theme that came back to us when creating this action plan is how can we support diversity and growing as a nature-based solution. And so to achieve this, for 2.1, we reflected on developing a cultural diverse food growing database, because we know that Birmingham's cultural diversity is one of its greatest strengths, and this includes the food that we grow and eat. So this project wants to create a practical database of culturally diverse crops that can be grown locally. And further, it also offers guidance on soils, climates and plot sizes to support more inclusive and sustainable growing practices and help growers to experiment with crops that reflect our communities. And again, we can celebrate some of the great growing that is already happening in Birmingham. And then for 2.2, we're also wanting to develop a community land use exploration report to understand how land in East Birmingham can be better used to support food growing. And through this, we'll identify opportunities, barriers, and practical tools to help communities make informed decisions about growing. And we hope to, through this, we can strengthen health, biodiversity, and resilience. And the third objective is how can we look to increase food system literacy and utilise creative arts to empower communities. And for 3.1, we're looking at how we can develop a food system literacy competency framework, because food system literacy is about understanding the journey food takes from farm to fork and how it affects our health, our communities and environment. So this action will co-produce a framework that sets out the key knowledge and skills for different audiences. So for example, considerations whether we're targeting audiences, families or schools, to community group professionals, and much more consideration. So it will help to give a good practice and ensure consistency and inclusive food education across Birmingham. And then for 3.2, we want to co-produce innovative approaches to increasing food system literacy. So we know that traditional food education doesn't always work for everyone. And that's why we want to work with communities to co-create creative ways that we can share our learning on the project that celebrate culture, creativity and local knowledge. So later on the project, we want to work with partners to how we get these messages across. It could be through storytelling, visual arts, performances, or other creative methods that make learning fun, accessible and reflect our city's diversity. And then finally, we've got Objective 4, which is around co-producing resources with people from the food environment identified in Objective 1, 2 and 3. So what we want to do here is to develop a pilot that brings together learning from all the previous objectives. So how can we bring, how can we unite this food spaces? How can we, utilize nature-based solutions? And how can we empower people's food knowledge and bring it all together to create a pilot that will showcase the new European Bauhaus principles and how they can shape spaces and create lasting legacy for communities in East Birmingham. And I should say, to reiterate, this is only a very high level overview of all the actions. But should you have interest in learning more about a specific project, as mentioned, we do have videos for 1.1, 2.1 and 3.1, and we'll be uploading further videos as the project progresses for the other actions. So thank you very much for taking the time to learn about Birmingham's journey within the Bauhaus Bites project. And as I said, this project represents an exciting opportunity to celebrate our city's diversity, to strengthen our food environment, and ensure our communities are at the heart of shaping this change. And if you'd like to contribute to any of the actions or receive the updates, please contact the food system team at food system team email address here. For further information, you can also scan the QR code. So the one on the left here, this is for more information on the Birmingham local Bauhaus Bites page. So you can either scan the QR code or follow this link. It will take you to our webpage where you can see our action plan and again look at the actions I just spoke about in greater detail. Or if you're interested in the more EU-wide Bauhaus Bites project and learn more about the other cities involved, again, this QR code will take you to the EU Bauhaus Bites page. Or again, you can follow them on LinkedIn and keep updated that way. So thank you for watching and have a good day.